And Conde talks about this theory of the void, and she calls the void the difference between expectation and reality. So, for example, if I go to an interview and I think a job interview and I think to myself, I'm going to fail as usual, I'm going to look nervous as hell, I'm going to stumble over my words, I'm going to look like I don't know what I'm talking about, they're going to look at me critically, they're going to give me those cold looks, I'm going to feel uncomfortable. You filled your subconsciousness with expectations, certain expectations. And now there is a difference between your expectations and reality. So when you come to an interview, your subconsciousness actually makes you feel, makes you act, makes you think or not think in a way that actually fulfills the expectations. So you actually do stumble over your words, you actually do feel uncomfortable, you actually do forget important facts, etc., etc. Same thing with, let's just say you're going on a date and you just say, I hope it's not another jerk or another stupid blah 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 blah. I hope they don't stand me up. I hope they don't hate how I look. I hope they blah 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 blah. So, have this expectation that they will look at you a certain way, that they will treat you a certain way. And when you arrive at the date, you actually act subconsciously in a way that creates situations in which your expectation is fulfilled. I'll give you an example. So, and also Ada Conde says, most people mistakenly put the carriage in front of the horse. They believe that first they need to have a great paying job, and then they will feel secure in their income. First, they need to find a romantic partner who loves and adores them, and then they will feel loved and adored. First, they need to figure out how to make more money, and then they will feel secure. I think I already mentioned it. First, they need to treat their illness, and then they will feel healthy. First, their kids will stop talking back to them, and then they will feel peaceful, etc., etc. So the mistake in this case, according to Anna Conde, not according to me, I'm just repeating what she says, is that we feel that the outside event that we have no control over needs to happen first. And then our internal state will change. She says that everything is exactly the opposite. That the external world is the carriage and our internal world is the horse. She recommends practicing the following exercise. If you feel lonely and you don't have anybody in your life who are making you feel loved, secure, taken care of, start being thankful and saying gratitude for being loved, for being secure, for being taken care of. If you currently experience a lack of money, significant financial stress, start feeling and stating aloud your gratitude for having extra funds, for finding opportunities to make more money. If you currently experience some kind of a health challenge, start expressing your gratitude for being healthy, lovely, and full of energy. And she said that expectation will bring about the fulfillment, or the void will be filled with the reality that meets your expectation. She actually gives an example. So let me give you an example that she gives. The story that she says happened when she was about 20, 21 years old, and she lived in Germany. And she was a student in Germany. And she worked part-time at a small consulting company that was almost across the street from her university. It was a very convenient job, although it didn't pay too well, but it helped her to keep up with her bills. So she had a significant increase in course hours, and she started to spend less time on her job. And then her employer calls her, and her employer said that unfortunately we really need somebody who can pay more attention to the job, who is, working faster, who delivers results faster. You're very distracted. So as much as we love you personally, we have to let you go. And we have already hired somebody to take your place. You have 2.5 more weeks left until the end of your contract, until the end of the month. So just be aware that we're ending your contract, and if you would be so kind, help us to train your replacement. So Conde says that she initially, just like anybody in her situation, felt blindsided, upset, angry, disappointed at herself, angry at herself for not noticing those signals earlier. And when she went home that day, she started to do her practice of write out. And she said to herself that if I do my practice of write out from the emotional state of a person who was rejected, of a person who was let go, a person who is not feeling wanted or appreciated, I will be writing my write-outs from the wrong emotional state. So she has decided in her own mind that she will believe, and she will tell herself that she was not fired, that she was promoted. She was promoted to a manager who trains new people. And she said, of course, in my mind, I knew that conversation that happened did not look like a promotion at all. But she said it did not matter. She just decided that that is her internal dialogue. I have been promoted. My employer realized that somebody needs to train new people, and they promoted me to a manager so I could take charge of training. With that thought, when the new lady arrived to be trained, she started to conduct herself in a way that a manager would if a manager wanted to train somebody who will assist them in their job. She said she actually, because she was promoted, she actually started to dress up a little bit better, because she felt like the person who was promoted would probably change her wardrobe a little bit. I'm a manager now, so I need to dress like a manager. She would start to talk like a manager. She would look at how other managers talked, and she would pick up those words. She started to talk like a manager. When the lady was coming in to obtain information about systems and processes, she would speak to her like a manager would speak to an employee. And that continued, and she said that people in the corridors, in the hallways, people would whisper. And she said, if I was still feeling insecure and wounded, and my ego was wounded, I would probably look at them turning their heads toward me and whispering, and think, oh, they're probably whispering among themselves about me being fired. And she said, instead, when I saw them kind of whisper among themselves and look at me, she said, I imagined that they would say, how unfair. Why had she been promoted and we've been working here for longer and we have not been promoted? So she felt like they would whisper about her from a standpoint of jealousy or from a standpoint of how much do you think she's getting paid now that she's being promoted. So she has created those dialogues in her mind that supported her theory that she has been promoted. She said when the manager would walk in and kind of stand there and observe how she trains the new lady, she, instead of thinking, oh, she's probably thinking how bad I'm performing and, churning all those negative thoughts in her head. Instead, she thought, oh, she's probably thinking about adding more people to my workload or bringing more trainees. She's probably observing to see how wonderful I'm performing in my new position. So she, even though mentally and logically she knew that this is probably not her coworkers and her managers, through dialogue, she forced herself to believe something that may not necessarily have been true. She said, it's been about 2 weeks and I had about maybe 3 or 4 more days before my time with the company was over. And she said, the manager walked into my office during lunch and sat down and she said, Adam, I know that we have had our conversation in the past about us parting ways, but we have been observing you for the last few days and we are just very, very impressed with how you conduct the trainings. And we are really surprised the depth of the knowledge that you have and all this additional tool that you're giving to this new person. Therefore, if you are not too upset with us, and if you have not found anything else, would it be possible for you to stay on and in fact complete additional training this person and also continue to maintain your own duties? We actually added more to our workload, so having just one person is now not enough. We need to have 2 people, and you can stay in your position and this lady can help on with additional cases. And she said, I did not feel at the very slightest surprised by this offer. She said, I almost like I knew that it was coming. And she said, even though it was not a formal promotion, they did recognize that I am a better trainer than they expected. And they did actually end up over the course of the next few months, hire a couple of additional people and ask her to train them. So even though she didn't have a formal manager status in the company, they employed her in the position of a training manager. And she said, notice that's an example of avoid fulfillment. She said, notice that she initially had a very negative situation. She was fired. If she was thinking about people and saying, oh, they probably whisper about me being fired, or my manager probably stand there and watches to make sure that I don't steal something or that I show everything correctly. Instead of having all these negative expectations, negative thoughts, she chose to have a positive thoughts. And she believed that due to these positive thoughts being inside of her subconscious, the universe had no choice but to bring about a reality that would make those thoughts true. So this is just an example of how she believes the mirror theory, that first we are the universe is the receiver. The universe is the receiver of the message from our subconscious. And we are the source of the message. So she believed that because the universe is like a mirror, it will reflect what it sees in your subconsciousness. If it sees anger, it will reflect anger or things that make you angry. If it sees weakness, it will reflect your weakness and multiply. If it sees loneliness, it will reflect loneliness. If it sees success, it will reflect success. If it feels confidence, it will reflect confidence and bring about events that make you even more confident. So that is the void theory of as told by Conde. Now, I must add to that I have listened to a lot of tapes by Brian Tracy, and he kind of delivers similar message, only with slightly different words in it. but the universe being the receiver, and your mind and your subconscious, conscious and subconscious being the projector upon which projects upon the universe and creates new reality. It's kind of unifying theme that I've seen in other Conde, Brian Tracy, and a couple of other motivational speakers. So that's it for now. You guys let me know what you think about the theory, if you think it's true, possibly true, completely untrue. Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.